Mr. Alexander, gentlemen, my husband seems to think, or he tries to shirk his responsibility. He seems to think that my mother is supposed to still take care of me as far as financial circumstances are concerned, and he thinks because they have a little money, all he has to do is keep on asking for more. Anytime I want anything, he tells me to ask my mother for it, and this has been going on day after day.
Well, would you ask your mother for anything?
I wouldn't ask her for $1 if I was starving.
Why?
They're old people, and they worked very hard all their lives. They accumulated a little money, yes, but no, I don't say they have a fortune. But this man thinks that all he has to do is keep on expecting and expecting more and more.
I'm sorry,
and
but
keep on grabbing it.
That's not true.
That's not true?
Not to that extent, no. That's altogether wrong. I'm not calling you a liar, mind you. But you're not using the right English here. That I keep asking. I don't keep asking.
You expect it, though.
I don't expect it from me. Always remember, it's not for me.
You expect it from me.
Right.
Well, you're my husband. You're supposed to take care of me, not my parents.
Your mother and father should never forget you, as long as they live and you live. This is as far as I...
Well, sir, do you feel that her parents have no obligation to help in this marriage?
You mean I feel that they have no obligation? I certainly do not.
Well, what do you feel?
I feel that their obligation to her is forever. They have parents. They never cease being her parents.
Well, when you say to her, you mean to her and to you and to the marriage, to your marriage.
That's right. The situation in this case has been going on since we're married, and you've told the board over 31 years. Now, I can't get it in my mind. They seem to believe that what my wife does, and she's trying to make me believe, and I think her parents do believe, that once a parent marries off a son or a daughter, financial aid is supposed to cease immediately. I don't agree with that, and I'll give you a reason. If that's the way they believe, in my opinion, it's nothing but animals. There's nothing else but animals. Now, you take a dog that has puppies, gets to a certain age, they drift and go for themselves. A cat applied the same thing to their kittens.
Excuse me, when I married you, I went out for myself, too.
Just a minute.
And you went out for yourself when you got married. That's the way I feel.
Just a minute. You let me finish, you can answer me. Now, I know that we're all animals. But I know another thing. I know we're supposed to be civilized animals. Now, you just don't forget your child because your husband's a failure. It's no secret that I'm a failure. I realize that. I know that. It's common knowledge. You mean to tell me that if you were laying on your deathbed and there's a possible chance of your parents helping you, that because it's my responsibility, they should just turn their backs when they can possibly help you to be comfortable and maybe recover with a few bucks, and they won't just contribute 1 penny because it's my responsibility.
You're a big, healthy, able-bodied man.
But they do
After 31 years, you admit to being a failure?
Certainly, I admit it. So what?
Well, why don't you better yourself? That's how they feel, and that's how I feel.
But the fact remains I didn't. I'm still a failure. So what?
When are you going to start to do something for yourself?
That's not the point. The point is, are you their daughter? That's all I want.
Yes, I'm their daughter.
Well, do you
Well, now-
But you're my husband, and you're supposed to take care of me.
I agree to that. I agree to everything you said. I agree that I'm a failure.
And not tell me to ask my mother for every little thing that I
didn't tell
want.
you to ask.
Well,
You
are there
certainly do that.
emergencies that occur here?
There was an emergency, and there has been emergencies. I still say this. If an emergency meant that I needed my rent or a pair of shoes, or she needed a pair of shoes or a coat, that they could forget about. Let her freeze. Let me go barefooted. But when it comes on a deathbed, and you can possibly help, comfort this one, and also help maybe recover her, they should not, and if they do, it isn't human, turn their back on a little financial help.
I don't want it from them. You're supposed to go and get it.
That's not the
There's
point.
people in your family that have money, too. Go to them for it.
They
Don't bother
did,
my
by
mother
the
and
way. As you
father.
mentioned it, that's who did help.
All right, they didn't have to go out and work and slave the way my mother did all her life.
Well, now,
How they got it?
do you have any children?
Just one. I'd like to know this now. May I ask you this question? Let's say that your daughter was married to a man who was a failure, and she lay there with no money, and you knew that there was no money around. Would you turn around and forget about this daughter of yours and not offer any help knowing that her husband is a failure, would you use that as an excuse for being cheap, like I accuse your people of?
My parents know that I wouldn't accept it. I have too much pride. They're not going to give it to you.
Listen to this. If you were sick, you would know whether they were giving you anything. They would be giving it to me to give to you, or they would be paying a doctor, or they would be paying a nurse. They don't ask you. You're sick. They don't have to ask you anything.
Even when I'm not sick, if I need anything. You don't have the money, you expect me to go to my mother for it. I can't see it.
that didn't arise
I just
yet.
can't
That
see
hasn't
that.
arrived. You're not telling the truth there. You're just a little bit off on that.
Oh, I don't know about
Well,
that.
do I understand that you are criticized for doing what your wife does herself
Well,
in
she
connection?
didn't answer that question yet. If she does answer it,
Well, ask her the
we'll be able to
question
talk.
again.
And I
Maybe
asked
she
you a
didn't
question. You can answer this with yes or no. If your daughter were married to a man who was a failure, and your daughter lay there sick, and it was an emergency, and you could help, would you not help because it's his responsibility?
I would help, yes, if my daughter would
Then
accept
why do you call
if
me
she
a
would
creep?
accept it,
and
but I wouldn't
she's-
accept it, you see? I'm different than my daughter might be,
Would your daughter
if I
be-
had a daughter.
Your daughter would know. She'd be sick in bed. How would she
Doesn't
know?
make any difference.
Well, now, gentlemen, I think that the atmosphere here is very apparent, and I think the issue is clear. Now, Dr. Eddy, we asked this specific question after this colloquy. Do you feel that the wife is justified in her complaint that the husband has no right to insist that her parents help in this marriage?
I think she absolutely is correct, because I think the legal obligation of parents ceases with the marriage of the daughter. The man is supposed to assume that responsibility. Now, whether or not parents want to help and find various ways of helping, which many parents do from time to time, is another question. But it isn't a question of right or legal claim. This has ceased. The legal responsibility is with the husband and with their family. And that's all that can be
May
said.
I
And
interrupt
another
that?
thing, excuse
May I
me.
interrupt that one? You're talking legalities now.
Well, I'm talking,
let's stick
I'm
to
talking
human
moral
relations. The Court of Human
responsibility.
Relations.
Well, now,
says-
just one at a time here, or
And
else we're
another
going
thing-
to have some mediation among the mediators. Now, what is it that you want to ask, Dr. Eddy?
Dr. Eddy said the legality end of it. We understand that, and I understood that before I came in here.
Now, what do you want to know?
My I want to know is it's human.
How about that, Dr. Fosdick?
Well, I think that while, of course, the wife has the legal right on her side, that they need some family counseling. After all, you're doing for your married son, is it?
I have a son,
And he's married?
yes.
And you help them once in a while?
Well, no, outside of gifts that I...
Oh, now, wait a
Manage.
minute. Don't say no. If that
No.
boy came
Well-
to you and asked you for your watch, you hocked it and put it
Oh,
to
yes,
help.
yes.
Well, that's what he wants to know.
That's
Yes,
what I want to know.
I do that to my son.
Now, that isn't a matter of legality.
That's what I'm getting.
That is a matter of being
Human.
ethically human, kindly, generous, having decent family relationships. Now, what troubles me in this situation, so far as the wife is concerned, is this legal feeling that as soon as you were married, your family didn't have any responsibility. But if they love you, it isn't legal. Of course they would try to do for you. Now that's on your side. Now on your side, my trouble is that is there behind the scenes here some sponging?
Well,
Well,
that's what they feel
they
that it is,
they
yes.
feel that way.
Exactly.
They do
I-
feel that way,
I
but it isn't
suspected
so, and
that.
I'll tell you why they shouldn't feel that way. I'm married over 31 years, as you heard. I can't put my finger on a half a dozen times that I've tried to get any money out of them people. Now, in 31 years,
In the first place, you never pay it back. Never.
that's all. That's.
Because you're not supposed to pay them back because they're your relative.
I owe my
Did
own.
you ever hear
my
people
own
like that?
people have helped me
I never in
10,000
my life-
times. Now listen, it isn't the paying back. The point here is whether I pay, whether I don't pay. I'm a complete failure. I know all these things. I'm irresponsible. Is it human to turn your back on your daughter because her husband is a failure and because it's his responsibility? I only want to know if it's human.
Well, is
Well,
it?
but I raised the question as to why you are irresponsible.
I've made a few mistakes, and I'm trying to rectify the mistakes. I'm getting worse. There's no
I
answer.
keep thinking of what would happen if, for example, I were your personal counselor and you came and talked with me and I got behind the scenes.
Dr.
You'd wanna know
Bosnick, we recognize that it's impossible to explore all the avenues of a human relationship, and I think that there's a lot of personal counseling needed. But right now, we're considering a restricted area of this complicated conglomeration of a marriage. And the particular area that we're interested in is the question asked by the wife as to whether or not this husband has the right to expect help from her parents. Now, from a legal point of view, we know that she has. From a human point of view, do you feel that helplessness is something that isn't restricted?
Well, I feel that if I were, for example, her father, I would continue to feel responsibility of doing the best I could within my power to help out this family situation.
Judge Walkenfeld? Judge Walkenfeld?
Well, I'm quite impressed by this remarkable spirit of combat that we see here, and I can imagine what goes on when these people are alone.
Now, we go to bed.
And, well, I hope you
forget
do,
about it.
because if you continue in this belligerent manner, you'll never get anywhere, and your problem is not too difficult. It's been encountered thousands of times. And we start off with a legal doctrine, which we all admit that your obligation is primarily to support your wife. But she has some counter obligations. The phrase has been used, sponging. Well, the record shows that you have never gotten anything from her parents, and the question is whether or not she should aid and help you. She has an obligation to help sustain your morale, to put you in a frame of mind where you can really be a breadwinner. You can't do that when you're dissatisfied the way you are. And apparently it's a matter of pride to her and a protection to her parents, because they think that if they give way once and help you, you'll be a constant burden. But I don't think that you're the kind of a man who would increase that situation. I think that your wife ought to show more loyalty, more support to you. And it wouldn't do her any harm to ask her parents, even if her parents said no, for support when there was an exceptional occasion on which you needed support.
Exactly.
Because then at least you would know that she was wholeheartedly with you and trying to do something for you.
Yes,
And
but will
unless
he
you
pay it
men,
back? Excuse me.
unless you
He doesn't pay
men,
it back.
well, now you're asking, will he pay it back? He's never had anything to pay back, so why not try it
He
sometime
doesn't
to see if he
believe in
will?
that back.
Well,
But as
it
long-
is clear, Judge Walkenfeld, that the basic responsibility is, of course, that of the husband. But according to this board, no one can really question the value of mutual helplessness, whether it concerns the husband, the parents, or anybody else. And there are no restricted areas, certainly when it comes to helpfulness. But obviously, the husband, and this seems to be the significant point, the husband cannot shift his responsibilities to others.
He opens my mail. I never get a letter that it's not open before I get it.
Well, let
My
me...
postal cards, Christmas cards, anything that comes in that mailbox, he opens.
Well, here, let me...
Before he gets to the apartment, he opens it in the elevator.
Let me
Half the
say...
time I don't even know what...
Let me say this. When a person marries, in my opinion, they become one person. That's the way I feel. Now, if I get downstairs and I'm on my way to the store and I pick up mail, why should I have to wait until I get upstairs? My name is on there. My name is Skaboobel or something. It's on there. All right? The first name isn't mine. It happens to be my wife.
Well, I'll call you Mrs. from now on.
To me, that's one person. Now, to bear me out, she's allowed to open my mail. I don't care if she opens it or doesn't open it or wants to be use the word etiquette and not open it. That doesn't matter. But the fact that I want to open it because I haven't got the patience to wait till I get up. What is there? More people? Is there secrets that I don't know? Let me know them.
Another thing. I want to tell you another thing. He writes me birthday cards. Or a Christmas card. He doesn't even sign his name to it.
Well, now this
Some printer writes 1,000, 10,000 of them all over New York City for Mother's Day, Easter,
just
to my
a minute.
wife.
When you go to the store...
I get a card like that, and he doesn't even put his name on it.
Just a minute. When you go to the store and buy a card on your birthday or my birthday, it says on this card, to my loving wife on her birthday.
That's all.
Now, Well, who else? Whose wife are you besides mine?
You might at least put to my darling wife. Have
It
a
says
will.
on there, to my loving
But you
wife.
didn't put it there.
But can you read English? Does it say to my loving wife? Do I have to
Well,
sign
you
it?
have
Or
to.
have you another husband or something around?
Well, if I had, I don't know what I'd be doing here with you.
Well, I'm only asking you. If there's more husbands around, then I'll sign it from
Well,
now on.
what does he sign it? Does he sign it?
Once in a blue moon, he'll sign me. That's
Me?
all.
Well,
Yeah, me.
Me? What's wrong with that?
That's only once in a blue moon.
All right, don't sign it
Arista,
at all.
he can use the same card next year. He didn't even... He left it on the kitchen table without any name, no address, nothing on it.
It
Well,
says
who's
to my
And
wife.
leased it to my wife.
Who's me?
Me, it's me. I'm the husband. Who else could I be? She has no other husbands around. If she has, then I'll sign it.
Well, I have a daughter that I'm very fond of, and when she writes me a very loving and a very wonderful letter, she signs just that, me.
Hey,
To
you know,
me, it's
now here's an honorable judge.
It's an
You at
affectionate, it's
least
an
recognize
affectionate
her hand.